Welcome everyone to our Master IEP Coach Q&A. I am beyond excited to have so many Master IEP coaches joining tonight to answer your IEP questions. So go ahead and start using that comment box. Let us know what are your biggest IEP struggles. And also, I want you to know that we have a free Master IEP Coach private podcast. It's at masteriepcoach.com/podcast. And every Master IEP Coach here in this Q&A session has an episode waiting for you. All Master IEP coaches have their own areas of expertise, and they love to help parents through the IEP process. In fact, we have so many Master IEP coaches here right now that we've got some hiding backstage here on this virtual stage ready to say hello. So I'm going to go through really quick. I would love Master IEP coaches, when I kind of call out your name, unmute yourself and tell us in just a sentence or two, why are you a Master IEP coach and who do you love to help? So this way, everybody knows that you're here and how you can help them. Let's go ahead and get started with Kristen. Can you tell us, why are you a Master IEP coach and who do you love to help?
Hi, I'm Kristen. I am a Master IEP coach because I am a former special education teacher turned diagnostician, and I wanted to make the IEP table better for everyone that needed help understanding evaluations and how to build better IEPs based on those psychoeducational evaluations.
I love it. So if you have questions about eligibility, evaluations, all the numbers that quite honestly make us feel like just chaos. I think it feels like chaos in our brain a lot of time when we're just looking through all the different numbers, all the different assessments. Kristen is going to be your go-to person. Shannon, tell us, why are you a Master IEP coach and who do you love to help?
Yes, hi, I'm Shannon, and I started out as a parent at the IEP table, and I'm a Master IEP coach because I like to help families like mine with students with invisible disabilities such as fetal alcohol spectrum disorder.
Love that. Okay, so invisible disabilities. Yes, that is such a big thing. And FASD, which I always have to think really hard, FASD, and get all the letters in the right order. That's such a need. And I love that in your episode on the Master IEP Coach podcast, you really tell us some interesting statistics. So if you, as a teacher, as a parent, if FASD or other invisible disabilities are part of your struggle inside of the special education system, Shannon is your go-to person. Carney, tell us, why are you a Master IEP coach and who do you love to help?
Hi, I'm a Master IEP coach because after being a special educator and administrator in the schools, now I help parents, mostly of elementary age children, work with them to help make sure that they have the individualized plans they need for behavioral and academic needs, mostly in the academic realm.
Absolutely. So I love that your experience is just it's wide behind the scenes inside of that school system and really looking at the academic side of things for elementary school students. A lot of times I think we're pushing off saying like, oh, we'll catch up later. Oh, we'll figure that out. Oh, just wait and see. So if you have a child who is in elementary school and you've heard a wait and see, or it's not that big of a deal, and your parent instinct is like, this is a big deal. My gut says we've got to do something. Carney is your person. Alexis, tell us, why are you a Master IEP coach and who do you love to help?
Hi, I'm a Master IEP coach because I remember what that was like many years ago, being a new teacher, and what you do in college is not like the classroom at all. So I love helping new teachers and families who have children with high support needs, who may be medically fragile and who are AAC users.
Yeah, so high support needs, this is such a needed conversation because a lot of times I think we're forgetting as we're working on all of the other things, all the other hot topics inside of special education and what's happening. We have students who have high support needs, and we're talking intensive use of AAC devices, intensive use of supports throughout the entire school day. So if you have a child who needs full support all day long to access their education, and you're trying to figure out how to get all of the documents in order, all the staff, what they need, your child, what they need, Alexis is your person for that. All right, Kimberly, tell us, why are you a Master IEP coach? Who do you love to help? You're on mute, Kimberly.
Okay. I'm a Master IEP coach because as a former special ed teacher, I didn't like how a lot of times the table felt us against them. And I wanted to help the parents get their voices heard and their concerns addressed through the IEP, particularly with a focus on what happens after high school and using the IEP to prepare them for future education, employment, and independent living.
Yeah. So Kimberly, I will tell you, we actually had an inquiry come in today saying which Master IEP coach could really help me. My child's 21 years old, and so they're going to be turning 22, and there's some things that need to be taken care of. And you know what? It's not too late. It doesn't, that last, year is a big deal. I mean, all of high school is a big deal. All of transition's a big deal, but we don't give up when we say, oh, well, there's only a year left. So Kimberly, I love that you like to dig in kind of like last minute too. And you're just like, let's just fix as much as we can and get as many things in place as possible for this after high school life. So if that's where your child is at in the, we're going to talk at like the back half of school, the back half of even high school, Kimberly is an amazing resource for you. All right, Heather, it's you. Why are you Master IEP coach? Who do you love to help?
Well, I'm a Master IEP coach because in my former life, I was a middle school special education teacher. And very much like Kimberly, I got tired of hearing that same like us against them mentality and got tired of hearing my hand slapped. But I love changing the mentality of middle school. I hated middle school growing up, and I loved helping families navigate that transition from elementary to middle school.
Yeah, that's scary. That elementary into middle school, just middle school in general, it's awkward for everyone. It's awkward for teachers. It's awkward for parents. It's awkward for students. So if you're in that middle school awkwardness, Heather is your person to help walk you through those pieces. I just want to give a shout out. We've got Shelly, who's a Master IEP coach. She's hanging out with us here in the comments. We've got Sandy, who's a Master IEP coach. She's hanging out in the comments. And we've got Erica, who has asked wording of accommodations and having a psychologist write them versus the case manager. So Erica, just so you know, we see your question. We're going to definitely get to that. So Amber, tell us your story as a Master IEP coach.
Well, I became a Master IEP coach because first I was a parent at the table and I wanted to support other families and make sure that they didn't experience the struggles that we had at the IEP table. So I help families of children who have autism, ADHD, learning disabilities, and Tourette's. Ages 3 to 13, I help them at the IEP table.
And so much, like there's so many layers into who you help and how you can just work through bringing together a school team that a lot of times the process that when I hear you talking about your clients, there's a lot of disconnect when it comes to what does a child need throughout their school day? How does the team work together when we're talking about something like Tourette's or dyslexia or just something that we might think only impacts one part of their school day, but actually it's impacting a huge part of their school day and their experience in their school community. So Amber is your person for that. Jessica, tell us, why are you a Master IEP coach? Who do you love to help?
So I became a Master IEP coach because I was that parent that went into the IEP meeting and cried hysterically and had absolutely no clue what was going on. And I absolutely love to help families that have children with autism, especially those that are transitioning, so that way I can help them with that next phase coming out of special education as well.
Yes. And that's a big piece. I think a lot of times there is a focus on I'm going to say that middle school, the beginning of high school. And it's like, okay, what are we going to do now? And then we get kind of lost, right? A lot of times our special education teams get lost. Our parents get lost. Like, okay, we started this transition in high school. We started this transition into this young adulthood, whatever that looks like. Again, just kind of another phase of awkwardness there. So Jessica, I love that you like to take that kind of phase of education and apply it to the real world. I know that's really important for you, is say, like, we don't have any time to waste. We're not going to put any fluffy things in there. We're going to get right down to business in the IEP. So Jessica is your person for that. I'm going to give a shout out to Christine, who is also a master IEP coach. She's hanging out in the comments. She says she loves hearing what everyone is focused on. Everybody here is just so different in their area of expertise, and I just love it so much. Destiny, tell us why are you a master IEP coach, and who do you love to help?
So, excuse me, I'm a military spouse, and I have been in the mental health field as a fully licensed therapist, and I've been in the mental health field for like 15 years now. But I was thrown into special education and all of the things that come with it when my son started school and was diagnosed with autism. And so there was a lot of tears. There was a lot of misunderstanding about mental health diagnosis that they were trying to label him with, one being defiance. So I was like, let me learn about the special education process. Let me learn about autism. Let me learn about neurodivergence, and let me learn how to support and help other families. So one of my big areas of focus is helping parents who have a category of eligibility that is not autism get the supports and things that they need to make sure the category of eligibility is autism. Another area is military families and those that are relocating. So understanding that transition from, it could be one school to another school, it could be one county to another county. And with our military families, it's often one state to another state, and everything they need to do to prepare for that process. And then it's helping those individuals that have ADHD, developmental delay, and speech or language impairment, because I also have an early intervention baby who is my youngest. And we recently went through the special education process for him. And I also got him early intervention services previously. So that's what my background and experience is. And a lot of the families that come to me so far, I've noticed, are because their child has the wrong category of eligibility. Either autism or ADHD is what their category of eligibility should be.
Yeah. And that, especially when we're talking about military families and moving, or if you're not a military family, but you are moving, it is important that we have the IEP documented kind of to a T, that we have these details, because we say as master IEP coaches that we have to have IEPs that pass the stranger test, that pass this, like we could just pick up the IEP and start where we left off. And that's what happens to our families when they move. So if we don't have things documented correctly, so if that is something that you're struggling with, if you're like, I think that we're going to move, but gosh, this is going to be so hard to get all the details that we need in there, Destiny is your person. Abby, it is, tell us, how come you are a master IEP coach, and who do you love to help?
I became a master IEP coach because I was a parent of kiddos with significant behavioral challenges and a special education teacher. And I realized how lost parents were in the system and wanted to help them navigate it. So I love to help families with elementary schoolers that are showing their stress with behavior get appropriate support so they can engage in their learning environment.
Yes. So that behavior struggle, and behavior is such a hot topic. It can be an isolating conversation to have. It's such a struggle. There's very strong opinions happening inside of our communities in special education, our communities, just in general, in our disability communities. There's such just heavy feelings and strong emotions that come along with that word behavior. And one of the things that I love about your focus too is you're like, sometimes it's a child's getting removed from class. They're an elementary school student. They're stressed out in their classroom and they're getting kicked out, and they don't even have an IEP yet, but they keep on getting removed from school. Like, Abby is your person to talk to if you are afraid of the school calling you, saying like, your child's been removed from class. Can you please come pick them up? Call Abby. For that. I do want to give a shout out to Gabriela Ortega. She says, I just signed up for the masterclass to be a coach this month. So excited to hear each of your focuses are so different. And that is a big part. So first of all, welcome, right? Welcome. We're very, very welcoming group here of yes. Now, welcome to our community. And yes, everybody here has a different area of expertise. When you become a master IEP coach, you don't have to learn everything about everything. You will become really fine-tuned into helping your ideal clients, who are the ones that are struggling in the area that you have the most experience. And you can help walk parents through this path that you most likely have already been on, or you've already helped other parents through that. So welcome. All right, we have one more question here that I'm just going to read out loud. So, question: what the district is willing to provide with, let's see, but agency, not district employee, have issues with the agency because they leave fast, are not trained in autism. So that's staff training and outside agencies. So we can address those things. How do I properly request for a BII? So I'm assuming that we're actually talking about let's see, let me take that off there. We're talking about an FBA or a behavior interventionist. So we're looking for FBAs, we're looking for BIPs, we're looking for trained behavior interventionists. Like there's a whole stream of conversations. You can see all of the heads moving. This is an ongoing conversation that is definitely happening. So we have another person who has just joined our Master IEP Coach course. So I'm excited. And don't forget, everyone watching here, you can go get your Master IEP Coach podcast. So everybody that's here right now has a specific episode to the area that they just announced. We've got one more person. We got to announce Nicole here. And then you're going to have an episode, everything from evaluations to moving to dyslexia to high support learners and AAC. There's all different things here. So you grab that at masteripcoach.com/podcast. So Nicole, tell us, why are you a Master IEP Coach and who do you love to help? Oh, Nicole.
I'm Nicole Brett. I'm a Master IEP Coach. Can you hear me?
A little bit. Try again. Let's see.
I'm a Master IEP. Okay.
Oh, is it a little rough for you guys too? Little rough. All right, Nicole, your internet's a little bit slow today. It happens. We totally get it. So Nicole's episode on the Master IEP Coach podcast is all about helping our high school students who have challenges in staying in their classroom, challenges with, we'll say, behavior, but it's so much chaos that's going on, and really learning how to relate to students who are struggling with staying connected in their classroom and that high school age. So Gabriela Ortega, I can see your other comments down there. So excited that this has been on your radar for a while and that you joined us. We are so excited to have you. And so, all right, let's go through a couple of tips, meaning that I would love each one of Master IEP coaches here. I'm going to kind of go back around here. Think about your episode from the Master IEP Coach podcast and think about one thing that you can tell people tonight. Like if you're looking at evaluations, do this. If your student is a AAC user, do this. Okay. So we don't like put out a script for these. So for all of our viewers, this is Master IEP Coaches on hot seats right now. It's one of my favorite things is just like, let's just have a conversation and talk about the good stuff here. So you're going to think about what's one thing that you want people to take away that's in relation to your episode on the Master IEP Coach podcast. Kristen, I'm going to start with you.
Sure. I would say actually use that evaluation to help you transition to an IEP. I promise it's not just numbers. There are actual strengths and weaknesses in there that will tell you what the child should be good at and may be struggling with, and you can actually turn those into accommodations.
Yes. So using the numbers, don't just get the numbers. Don't just understand the numbers, like use the numbers. Yes. And I love, Kristen, how you put that real life kind of application into those numbers. So if you are struggling as a parent to understand all of the numbers and what does that really mean for your child's school day, Kristen is your person. All right, let's go to Alexis. Alexis, what is one thing you want parents or teachers to take away from your episode?
That it is never too early or too late to start a child with using an AAC device, and that research shows that AAC devices actually help verbal and vocal communication. They do not hinder, despite what a lot of people think.
Oh, I'm so glad that you brought that up. That is such a myth in our community that, if I give them a device, maybe they won't use their words. Not true. All right, I'm going to hop over to Carney. Give us a tip from your episode.
I think one of the tips that I wanted to share is a way that we really need to start teaching, especially reading, is to really model it and that explicit instruction. So really have them watching you do it and then go ahead and practice with them. So I call it the I do, we do, you do method. And I think it's really that explicit instruction to go ahead and make sure that the student is learning the skill, practicing with you, and then following through and fading that prompt and fading that instruction so that we make sure that they have mastered the skill and can do it independently.
It's so important. It's not just about the intervention. It's about mastering. It's about independence. So again, elementary school, academic concerns, Carney is your person for that. Kimberly, give us a takeaway from your episode on the Master IEP Coach podcast.
So for parents whose students are 14 and up, the transition plan in the IEP should be based on their child, not just, so think about their personality and have it driven by your child, and then integrate all of that transition plan into the IEP. So the goals can relate to what this child wants to do in the future or what they're interested in.
I love that. One of the things that I love that you say in that aspect is a transition plan should be as unique as the child. It's not just a standard piece of paper. So if you are struggling to figure out how do I really customize my child's high school plan, Kimberly is your person for that. We have somebody who said, how can I get a one-on-one for my son, 3rd grade with ADHD when he's not listening in class, they remove him from his classroom? I'm going to actually tell you, because there's removal from the classroom, I'm going to encourage you to reach out to Abby. For this kind of situation here, we also have, let's see, ADHD in 3rd grade. I'm going to also say, where is she? Amber. I needed a visual there. So Amber, you can reach out. You can go to the Master IEP Coach podcast. So masteripcoach.com/podcast. Go listen to Amber's episode. Go listen to Abby's episode. Their contact information is in there. You can learn from them. You can connect with them. And that would be a fantastic place for you to start there. Okay. And then we had another question up here that I promised that we would get back to for somebody. Let me just go. Wording of the accommodations and having a psychologist write them versus a case manager. I will tell you, Kristen's episode on the podcast specifically says the word psychologist on it. Now, I'm not going to give away anything else, but go to masteripcoach.com/podcast. You'll get all the information on how to access this private podcast, and go look for Kristen's episode, and she'll give you a little insight on psychologist kind of, I don't want to say versus, but I'm going to say compared to psychologists, compared to diagnostician, compared to the IEP team, and what perspective that you could be looking at there. So we also have, let's see, we've got an okay, thank you there, which means she's going to be heading over to go listen to some episodes. Love that so much. Okay, well, let's see. Heather, give us a takeaway from your episode on the podcast.
I could pick them all, but I think the biggest one that I would say is communication. Find that case manager, that point of contact, because with so many teachers and so many transitions between class periods, you need a point of contact to be able to address your concerns, challenges, struggles, wins with one person, so that that person can be your go-to to help you with all the other classroom expectations in different areas. So make sure you're focusing on that communication plan with your team and having those conversations early.
Absolutely. So if middle school feels like a hot mess for you, there's one strategy, and go grab some more on the podcast and then reach out to Heather for that. Okay. Let's go, Shannon.
Yes. Okay. So one of the things I would like to say to parents and teachers from the episode is, if you find yourself frustrated, like you're beating your head against the wall because you're utilizing evidence-based practices and they're not working, that may be an indicator for you to dig a little deeper on the why behind the behavior, why behind what brain domain may be impacted, and why you're seeing what you're seeing and why they may not be effective.
Yeah. So that is a great conversation piece that we had in your episode of talking, like, typical things may not work when we have different things happening in our brain. Like, so these kind of standard interventions or standard things, like asking why and digging deeper, is so very important. So Shannon is your person to go to when you're just like, we've tried all the standard stuff and it's not working. We've got some invisible disability going on. Everybody's kind of pulling out all of their tools and none of it's working. Shannon's your person to go to. Caitlin says, I'm so excited to access these resources. I've been a special education administrator for many years, but I'm always looking to learn more from others' experiences. You are in the right place. So Master IEP Coach, parents, teachers, admins, and therapists all working together. We are the only community that truly says, come on in. You guys can hear from all of the different backgrounds here. I mean, I'm looking at the screen. I see former admins. I see parents. I see teachers. I see everybody here from all different roles. And that's what we need, because if we're expected to work together, we also have to learn together. We have to problem solve together. There's just a lot of things that we have to do to collaborate on a whole different level to level up our leadership at the IEP table. All right, let's see who's next. Who's ready? We've got Destiny. Destiny, can you share a tip for us from your episode?
Yeah, so as a mental health professional, we always say if it's not documented, it didn't happen. So when you are relocating, changing from school to school, county to county, state to state, a big thing that I would say is make sure the services that your child is receiving is documented. Even if they are collecting data on it, make sure somewhere in that IEP, it says that this is something that we are testing and working on. And an extra bonus would be if you could get the staff working with them, specifically the general education teacher, special education teacher, to type something up for you saying, this is what I'm doing to accommodate the child in the classroom setting.
Yes, documentation. I mean, that's just, it's so big when we're moving. It's so big when we're looking at eligibility. It's so big when we're talking about, you mentioned that you have, a young one who's entering the system and you knew what to ask for with documentation. So you get things started without having to wait. Documentation is so big. So Destiny is your person for that. Abby, go for it.
Hi. So my biggest recommendation for you all that comes from my podcast is to really think about the choices you can provide the child within their elementary school day. A lot of times behavior is about seeking control for whatever reason kiddo feels out of it, and giving those choices gives a little control. And there's always a choice you can give a child.
Yeah. So I know that when we were chatting, like choices of like, do you want to use this pencil or this pencil? Like simple
Yep.
things, because control, I think a lot of times we think about that as everybody's like, oh, the child's trying to control. Yes, they're trying to control. And it's like, and they can't be in control right now, but they can. They're a real little person. They're a real little tiny person who can have control over pieces of their day and how they experience it and what's going on with them, and really honoring who they are and what they need in that moment is so very important. Let's see. My question: if a child was diagnosed with autism, can't do that? I think that we're trying to say, why can't they have an IEP? So if they have a medical diagnosis of autism, why can't they have an IEP? Because our education system does not like to communicate the way the medical system likes to communicate. It's two very different things. There's medical criteria and there's educational criteria. So I will tell you, Kristen would be a great resource for that. And Mary, if you told us how old your child is, I could kind of point you in the direction of some other Master IEP coaches here. I'm also going to guess just kind of that it's probably elementary age. So if you, Master IEP coaches, if you're on this screen right now, raise your hand if you're just like, yeah, Mary, 18. Mary, we got 18. Okay, so 18, you're going to go to Kimberly for 18 for transition age. And you know what? Another route could also be Alexis works in high school. So that would be great also. So Alexis would be a great resource for you. Okay, who didn't I get yet? Raise your hand for your tip. No, we got everybody here. That means Jessica's hanging out behind the scenes. So let me bring up Nicole. We can see. I'm not sure how the internet's working for you there. Let's see. Do you have a tip from your episode? Oh, I think your internet's still a little bit slow. So I'm going to pull Jessica up here. Jessica, you got a tip for us from your episode?
Yes. So something that I really like to focus on is making sure that the accommodations that your kiddos are using in school is something that can translate into real world, because it is going to be something that they're always going to be needing at some point, unless it's something that can be faded away.
Absolutely. Just so good. That real world application. So if you are questioning at all, like, does this even make sense for my child to be learning this? contact Jessica, and she will give you a ton of real life. I've known Jessica for a long time. She's been a Master IEP coach since the beginning of Master IEP Coach. And so she can give you a lot of real life examples of, does this work or does this not work long term? I see we have Amber here too. I got to grab Amber and get Amber. We did not get your tip yet, did we? Okay. All right. It's your turn. Go for it. Oh, Amber's my Amber. Oh, let's see. We're going to try again. The internet might be a little slow.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Try again. Oh, we can't hear her now. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move this way and add Carney back up there. All right. And Amber, I know that you're still here behind the scenes and your internet is struggling. If you want to put your tip into our chat here, I would be happy to read that for you and make sure that people know how to reach out to you. Natasha is here. So Natasha is also a Master IEP coach. So hello, Natasha. Thanks for joining us here today. All right. So I think we have everybody, right? Do we get everybody? I just want to make sure. All right, let me check our little chat over here. We do have a message here from Nicole, who's struggling a little bit with their internet. So if a student has difficulty with behaviors and staying in classroom and participating, make sure that you include them in the process of establishing their goals, establishing that desired outcome, establishing what needs to happen. So again, if you have a high schooler and you're just like, I don't know, like I can't get buy-in from them, I can't get them to participate in their school day, you're going to go to masteripcoach.com/podcast and you're going to go find Nicole's episode that talks about high school behaviors, and you're going to get some tips, some strategies, and you're going to be able to connect with Nicole. Let's see. And we've got Kristen and Kimberly all there up in the chat, making sure that everybody has the resources that they need. That is fantastic. All right. masteripcoach.com/podcast. You guys just had a tiny highlight of all the expertise that is available for you. Let's see. I'm looking here too. I would also add for, we always have to presume competence. We have Alexis that wants to make sure everybody knows that to presume competence, especially with our students who are not communicating traditionally, like our way that we would expect communication, right? So a lot of times when we're not hearing the words or we're not seeing things that we expect as communication, we assume that a child is not communicating. And not us here. We're not assuming as Master IEP coaches, but our world sometimes assumes that a child is not competent to communicate their needs, their wants, their likes, their dislikes, what they're learning, all of those things. So I love that addition there, Alexis. I just want to thank all of the Master IEP coaches who have taken their time to take their expertise and to put it together on a full Master IEP Coach podcast for you. Again, it's at masteripcoach.com/podcast. It's a private podcast. It's built just for you by all of the Master IEP coaches that are here. It's free. You can absolutely go connect with Master IEP coaches through that podcast and get the support that you need. Master IEP coaches are the idea bringers, solution finders, and team builders at the IEP table. They're going to help you build IEPs in creative ways that you have never thought of before. So I just want to say thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. And don't forget to go grab your access to the podcast. Bye, everyone.